Good afternoon. The August 22nd, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of the City of Longview is now called to order. Commissioner Chad Harkey is going to lead us in a prayer and the pledge to the flag.
Please bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, thank you for this day and all of your many, many blessings. We just thank you, Father, for the privilege to come here and serve the committee. We pray for wisdom as we make decisions, Father, today, and we just pray for the safety and wellness of the community, Lord, and just all those around us. In your name I pray. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which was in July. That all the commissioners had a chance to look over them. Anyone have a question? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, they are approved. Item 5 on the agenda is citizen comment. I do not have any cards on citizen comment, but if there's anybody in the audience that wants to make a comment, that's not part of the regular agenda. Seeing none, we will move into item number 6, the regular agenda. The purpose of the meeting is to hear all the pertinent testimony of those in support and in opposition of applications before the commission. We'll hear from the staff first, to be followed by the applicant, and then the general public. When we've heard from everyone, then I will close the public hearing, and after the public hearing is closed, then we will take a vote. Regular agenda item A, Angela.
Thank you. A public hearing will be held to consider application Z24-14 filed by the City of Longview requesting a rezone from General Retail Zoning District to Single Family 4 Zoning District for lots 1A and 1B, Block 1, lots 1A, 1B, Block 2, Hills and Trails Addition, lots 1 through 4, Block 1, Hills and Trails North, lots 15 and 15A, Block 1, Hills and Trails Unit Number 2, lots 1, 2, 2A, 3, 3A, 4 through 9, Block 1, Hills and Trails Unit 4, and Abstract 186 D. Sanchez Survey, Tracks 56-02 and 56-03, Section 4, located along George Ritchie Road east of Prince Road, excuse me. So staff is requesting a rezone of this property located along East George Ritchie Road from General Retail Zoning District, shown here in the zoning map, to Single Family 4 Zoning District. As you've heard in the past, the previous zoning ordinance permitted single-family homes within this zoning district. However, the current UDC does not. Therefore, these properties are considered non-conforming. In order to correct this nonconformity, the City of Longview is requesting to rezone these properties to bring them into compliance with the current UDC. Staff finds that the proposed zoning change is consistent with our future land use map and surrounding uses. Therefore, it does not constitute spot zoning. I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Anyone have any questions of Angela? Okay, this does not require a public hearing, so I will entertain a motion.
It does require a public hearing.
Oh, it does require?
Yes, it does.
Okay, anyone in the audience that would like to, I will open it up to a public hearing then. Anyone in the audience like to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, passed unanimous. Regular agenda item B, Angela.
Thank you. A public hearing will be held to consider an ordinance adopting an update to the 2015 comprehensive plan that includes future land use map, community livability, and implementation. I'm going to hand this off to our consultant, Wendy, with Friesen Nichols.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you very much for having me here today. Want to go through a presentation to update you on the comprehensive plan and requesting your approval for this today. I'm Wendy Bonneau. I'm with Friese & Nichols. I've been with the firm 20 years. I've had the pleasure of working with Longview on multiple plans. I have with me Karen today. Karen has worked for us for about a year. She graduated from Columbia University. This is her first planning and zoning meeting today and council meeting. So I wanted her to be able to come along with me and just be able to see how these things go. So I'm glad she could join us here. I'm going to go through a quick overview of the comprehensive plan, the process we went through, highlight a few of the draft recommendations within this, and again, pending your approval, we will get the final plan sent to you. I think y'all all had the chance to probably see that in draft form. I know you as commissioners all know this, but I always like to take the moment to say the difference between a comprehensive plan and zoning, as you just saw with what Angela presented. This is part of our statute and the Texas Local Government Code that allows us to take a look at comprehensive plans, look long range at a city, and then help inform the zoning decisions that we make. It is a 10 to 20 year vision. Your previous plan has lasted you about 10 years. And so that's the reason we're updating that to help guide and make decisions as you're making those zoning decisions, to be able to look at the plan, because we look at it very holistically when we're putting it together, and help use the basis for that policy. It is different than zoning, but it is a really important component because it's taking so many of the different pieces of your city and wrapping that together into one document. And I'll talk a little bit about that because you do have some other things that are feeding into this particular plan. I mentioned I had the pleasure of working on the 2015 plan. That was a very robust document. I actually have a copy of it here. It had a lot of different sections and a lot of different components to it. Had a lot of meetings. This time around, we've done a smaller version of that, only focusing on a couple of chapters. I'll explain why, but Longview is one of those cities I use often when I'm talking to other cities, because I really think you all have done a very good job of implementing your comp plan. This slide is just a snippet of some of the key priorities that came out of the 2015 plan, and even if you can't see all the details, what you probably can see are the green check marks on the right-hand side. And so there's been a lot of things that were accomplished. For example, additional planning efforts, including your downtown plan, your the I-20 corridor plan, some improvements in South Longview, coming up on Mauberley, the Mauberley High entranceway. You did your UDC. You've built public facilities. You've built trails. So there's a lot of the things that was in this previous plan that you've accomplished, and part of the reason why we were looking at updating it this time. So kudos to all of you who have been involved over the last 10 years. So let me fast forward and talk about this plan in front of us here today. I first want to just thank the CPAC, the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, CPAC for short. We had several of you involved in that, and we're really appreciative of those that took time to serve as advisors for us throughout the plan, being involved, and we came to them several times throughout this to get their input. So really appreciate all those that served on that committee to help us. Last year, we kicked this off with a public meeting. We had fantastic attendance at that meeting, got a lot of great input as a part of that. Some of the just key takeaways, there's a document, and that's what that picture is on the right-hand side. There's a document that includes all of the comments that we have, and there were a bunch, so those are available for viewing that that Michael and Angela had. But a few of the key takeaways was that people love Longview. There is a sense of community pride, but we do desire more mixed use and more walkability, entertainment options to be able to provide for our families, strong desire for focus on small businesses, and looking at various types of housing. And those are kind of key themes that you're going to see throughout, because we heard this at the first public meeting. We then turned around and we did a survey following that first public meeting that asked, for those that could not attend, if you had any additional comments, to please give us those. So we had good feedback on that survey that we did following the meeting. Again, some of the similar takeaways that we heard in that survey of really desiring more high-paying jobs here in the city. That drives a lot, a desire to address homeless population, continuing our beautification efforts of what's been started along in South Longview and along the corridor. And then once we gathered all that feedback and put that together, we worked through some things with the CPAC committee. We then came back to the public last month. And didn't have as much of a turnout, but the feedback we had was excellent. We got some really, really good comments and good feedback, and as a part of that meeting that we then took back and put that into the plan. Again, some of the key themes were very similar in terms of agreeing with what we had. We had put all the implementation strategies up on boards and asked people what they said, and there were a few that were tweaked or combined, one or two that were added as a part of that, but a lot of people, thought there was really good responses on the boards, that they liked some of the things that we're doing. Again, talking a lot about pedestrian connectivity, sense of place, key activity areas, making some more bike-friendly areas, particularly those that connect key nodes, and then housing. And then again, same thing, following that meeting, we also had a survey available so that people could give us feedback if they were not able to attend the meeting. And again, no surprises out of the feedback. We had some open-ended questions as a part of that survey, and it was a very similar theme. So we feel like we got good feedback on some key themes that we heard just over and over. So let me highlight a few of those things on this draft. So number one thing I want you to know is that this plan is a little bit shorter, smaller than the last plan, and part of that is because we specifically focused on land use and livability as a part of this plan. And one of the reasons we did that is the MPO is the Master Thoroughfare or Metropolitan Transportation Plan has already been updated. MPO has been working on some things. You just adopted your parks plan, so it's brand new, and there was a lot of good comments and feedback and implementation items in that. So we certainly didn't want to reinvent the wheel on that. So we took those comments and those implementation items and then put this within the document. We took out the annexation chapter that we had before, just because, as you all know, that state legislature has changed that in terms of our laws for being able to annex. And then the economic development surveys, in summary, the LEEDCO has been taking a big piece of that. They just updated their strategic plan. So we took those documents and pulled those into this, but our time was spent on the land use and livability. So the chapters itself of the comprehensive plan, there's 5 chapters. We updated the community snapshot, the vision, goals, and objectives, future land use, livability, and then we have that same implementation at the end that captures all of that. So in updating the community snapshot, looking at all your new numbers, and so updated all that. Looking at our compound growth rate, we've got it at about 0.5%, just because that's kind of historically what we are seeing, and so that's what we've looked at for population, so about a 90,000 population by 2040. We always look at this just because it kind of tells a story. We've got more than average at the higher end of this, where population compared to Texas, just from an older population, and then also from a school age and college age. But we're missing that middle. We're missing some of the 34 to 45-year-olds, kind of workforce housing. And so again, I think that's why jobs and quality of life and those things are important to look at. We look at housing values and just what we can take away from that. Obviously, they're getting higher, but that's a trend that we see everywhere. The vision statement luckily did not change. That was one of the first things that we asked is this vision statement still relevant to Longview? And we got an overwhelming response that it is. It's a good vision statement, outlines everything that we still want. And so one of the things that I did love about the way Longview did this plan is every word in their vision, in the vision statement, has a goal attached to it. And then each of those goals have specific strategies attached to it. So every word in that, it's not just fluff, there's really meaty implementation items to be able to help achieve that. So that's how you see that here, like for example, premier community, be recognized as the most livable city in East Texas, and then you have objectives, and then you have strategies that follow it. So getting into a few of the things that changed in this one, again, I mentioned some of the housing concerns that we heard, just in terms of having more diversity, affordable housing, being able to continue to have vibrant neighborhoods and looking at infill. So you'll see on the right-hand side just some of the specific things that we changed in the plan, or we reworded. We did look at a land use category that looked at neighborhood residential, and combining two of our land use categories just to be able to have some more of that variety for single family. Looking at how we can take a look at the code, if there is anything that we can continue to prove as times change, and maybe make things streamlined to be able to capture different styles of homes. We heard a lot about different styles. Again, most people, you all probably know this, but you tend to have two thoughts of school of thoughts on housing. You have single family house and apartments, and there's so much in between that we could have, that we don't have a lot of product of that in Longview. And so where we can look at those types of things would be great. Entertainment options, just being able to create that quality of life so that people aren't having to go to other cities to have fun and do things with their kids. And so a lot of that has to do with what LeadCo is trying to attract in their plan, but then also just as you're thinking about businesses and use of land and where things can go, those were all important things that we heard, so we made some tweaks along those lines in the plan. Additionally, local business retention. Love all the chains, but we really love our local businesses. And so anything that we can do to support our local businesses and retain them. So we had a few responses in here related to looking at incentives to attract and retain our local businesses, and also just other economic development activities that we could do to really create opportunities for our small businesses. Additionally, just employment. Mentioned a lot about getting high-paying jobs, really being able to capitalize on your educational resources here in the city, and aligning that. So again, that's a lot of what LeadCo has in their strategic plan, but we wanted to make sure that that is also replicated and put in here. And so being able to, bring those next big opportunities here is a real focus. And so the additional thing that we did is just update the future land use. As you do make small changes along the way, we did update that, so you now have a new land use plan that is reflective of what you have out there and that what is desired. And then I mentioned kind of the residential category was the thing that biggest change on that. Community livability. This was probably the biggest section of the plan. How do we create a community where people want to be here? They want to go to school and they want to stay here, and they want to have jobs here. And so there's a lot of recommendations that talk about amenities and gateways and focusing on a housing attainability, being able to allow different products of housing type, and focusing on infill so that we're not stretching our dollars so much and we're really really investing in what we currently have. So then the last chapter of this is implementation. And so just the way that it's set up, Again, I mentioned that vision statement. There's then a goal that ties to that vision statement. There's then objectives that tie to that goal. And then there's all the actions. And so that's how each of those sections that I talked about, there is a detailed implementation plan in the back of the report. And then this was just an exercise that we went through with the CPAC. Of if we went through exercise with them where we put all those strategies out and just asking what are some of the key things that we really feel like are important. And so this isn't necessarily in order of priority, it's just more some of the key things that came out. And I would be repetitive if I go through all this because it's going to be reflective of the things that we heard from the public. Again, mixed use, strengthening South Longview, housing types, continuing to invest in the plans that we have, really honing in on some of our partnerships with our other educational institutions and so on. So you'll see that a lot of the feedback that we got from CPAC was similar. We also had all of the implementation items that had been done in the transportation section and the parks and the economic development strategic plan. And so they were able to select some of the key things that they thought were important out of that. So that is reflected in towards the end of the plan. And this is just how they line up, just in terms of the number of goals and objectives and things that were in there from the last plan to this plan. So with that, our next steps on this is really to hopefully get your approval of the plan. If there are any questions or anything that you see that we need to change, let us know. It is our plan to take this to council tonight, pending your approval today, and to get their approval as well. So with that, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you to your amazing staff and to all those that helped us get to this point on the plan.
Before I open the public hearing, do any of the commissioners have a question? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the plan? Approach the mic, please. State your name and your address.
Howdy, everyone. My name is Austin Wade. I'm a resident at 1101 Ravencrest Drive in District 6. I would like to say thank you all for working on the zoning of the city and moving the city forward. Just because the city has made mistakes and maybe stepped in the wrong direction in the past doesn't mean that we can't make those changes moving forward. So I appreciate your hard work, y'all's hard work as well. You're very well spoken, and I'm excited to see all of these plans come to fruition. So I just wanted to say thank you and introduce myself as a proud new resident of the city of Longview. Thank you.
Appreciate your comments. If you'll fill out a speaker's card so they'll have a record of it, please. She's going to give it to you there. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that'd like to speak in favor? Anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I will call for a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Passed unanimous. I will make one comment on this. I've been involved, I think, in all of the meetings except one. There's a lot of work that has gone into this, believe me, and a lot of comments from the public, the community. If you haven't read this, commissioners, you need to do so. When planning and zoning comes up before us, a lot of it that's in here has a lot to do with us. So I encourage you to read it. The community snapshot is, I thought I knew about the community, but after reading this, I didn't know near as much as I thought I did. I didn't realize that 47% of the city of Longview are renters. Did y'all know that? It's pretty amazing. Anyhow, thank everybody. Angela, do you have any comments to close?
No, just that the items that were presented to city council were approved a couple weeks ago.
Commissioners, any comments? We're adjourned.